All right. How's it going? Happy Friday. How are you doing? All right. As usual, let me do my sound check to make sure everything is going perfectly before. Okay. I can hear myself. Got carried away there. Anyway, welcome to today's episode of the Samuel Kokomo Live Experience. I hope you all are doing well, whether you're watching this live or you're watching this later. We are continuing our discussion on, let me just pull up the banner real quick. How to make the most of your first 5 years after school, build or drift. And we started this conversation last week. And, you know, we went through quite a lot, actually. And to give a bit of a recap, let me see. Should I wait a bit? You know what? I'm just going to fire on because it's already 8 minutes past 8. So I believe anybody that is coming will already be here. Give me a quick second. Okay. All right. Getting started immediately. Thank you. Background noise with the fan. Pardon me. I just wanted a little bit of, fan because it's quite hot. The AC is not on. Anyway, thank you for that, Toby. So welcome to today's episode of the Samuel Kokomo Live Experience. We're continuing our conversation on build or drift. Yeah, build or drift. How to make the most of your first 5 years after school. If you were here last week, yeah, the fan is on, but I've turned it off now. Man, we really need to get the hang of this. I should not be doing sound testing while I'm live. Let me just turn off the fan since that is a problem. I guess I have to sacrifice comfort a little bit. All right. So last week, I laid the foundation of what we're talking about today, and it was quite a lot. To do a bit of a what's it called recap. We talked about why this conversation is necessary. I talked about how there's a disconnect between the process of school and the realities of life. I also talked about how school does prepare us for life because I believe that most schools, most universities, polytechnics, and whatnot, they tend to be a sort of, should I say, it's a full ecosystem on its own, right? So I actually believe that school is not a scam. School actually prepares us for life, but there's nothing that is being taught on how you translate what you've learned in school into real life. And then I talked about the fact that I truly believe that a very critical point in everybody's life, especially after school, is the first 5 years. It is the point where you either spend your time building or you spend your time drifting. And that does not mean that money is not the only metric, by the way. You can spend a couple of years doing something and it doesn't entirely translate into more money in your bank account. But you do a lot of high leverage activities that will pay you for decades and decades to come. I'm just going through my notes here and trying to like give a recap. And then I'm talking about, I also mentioned last week that, people spend years trying to figure out how to figure things out. That is part of the problem. Part of the problem, one major reason why people never make use of this short window of, should I say, accelerated opportunity after school is because they spend a lot of years trying to figure out how to figure things out. And the truth of the matter is, no matter what level you are in, you are still going to be figuring something out. So stop planning to plan. All right. Something else that I talked about is people experience unnecessary delay, and people like to say delay is not denial. That may be true, but if you're the one responsible for denying yourself, then you're not really being delayed. It can only be called delay if you've already done all you can do. And I quoted something, I always forget who said this thing. The person said, all you can do is all you can do. All you can do is enough. Just make sure you do all you can do. If you have not done all you can do, you can't really say you're delayed. If you feel like you don't know what next to do and you're not spending time trying to make sure you figure out what next to do, you can't say you are delayed. It is you that you are denying yourself. Then I talked about the visible, the visible. I think somewhere last week I mentioned the difference between a builder and a drifter. I think I should go to that next. I talked about the fact that a builder is someone who draws up a plan, puts all necessary resources in place, and gets things done. Everything a builder does turns into assets or leverage. I don't think I, pressed into this as much as I should have last week. An asset does not entirely have to turn into money immediately. An asset is something that can turn into money later, or that can turn into some sort of value. That can turn into some sort of, what am I saying? An asset, of course, is something, it can turn into some sort of value. Leverage might not even be something that is in your hands right now. It just means there's something you can call upon that will bring the value to you. So everything a builder does turns into assets and leverage. However, a drifter is somebody that is working on nothing, everything, and with everyone at the same time. They are everywhere, and they are also not working at anything at all. A drifter does enough to get by, never enough to get leverage. I'll say that again. A drifter does enough to get by, but never enough to get leverage. And you can hand a drifter leverage, and they will still trash it. A drifter essentially, and this is how most people live. A drifter, according to the definitions I gave you last week, is essentially somebody, to summarize it, the one thing that summarizes it is they do just enough to get by. And this manifests in the sense of, hey, I finished school, I'm supposed to get a job, so let me just get a job. You do just enough to get people to shut up and get off your case. You don't do enough to plan for your future. Once you tick all the boxes that society accepts, you feel you're good and you think you're good. Matter of fact, somebody that is currently not doing anything might have better leverage than you, because maybe when they finally wake up, they continue to grind and maybe not outgrind you. They continue to grind and they have a bigger vision than you, and they get to where you're getting to and they keep going, right? And I also mentioned that in some way, we are all builders and drifters. What matters the most is where you spend most of your time. Are you spending most of your time acquiring assets and leverage for yourself through your activities, your inactivities, what you focus on, what you don't focus on? Or are you spending time just looking busy without being busy, without actually being productive, right? And then something else that I briefly touched on last week is a quick concept that I just introduced to you, which is something I said something about there's such a thing as spiritual currency. Talked about it briefly, and I said that when I say spiritual currency, I'm not talking about anything that has to do with what most people are used to calling. I've defined this many times on this session. I'm not talking about anything that has to do with what most people call spiritual. I believe that spiritual just basically means immaterial, right? So part of what I call, or what I would categorize as spiritual currency is, relationships. If you have a high leverage relationship, sometimes all your problems are not going to be solved with money, right? Sometimes you just need to know the right people. So part of being a builder and not a drifter is being able to create and maintain high leverage relationships. But most people don't know how to do it. Matter of fact, I'll just call it out here. I do these sessions, and I'm not saying this out of spite. I do these sessions every week, right? And some people don't even want to what does he want to see on that, that live session. Yet you're DMing the person and asking for advice on certain things that I may have already spoken about here. It does not show diligence on your part, and it does not show that you actually value the person's time. Most people tend to feel like their problems are the most important in the world, and it's just not true. The people they are asking for help also have problems. Understand? Just wanted to touch on that quickly. I think that does it in the case of giving a recap. What I'm going to be doing today really is just pressing forward from where I stopped. More recap is, I talked about the fact that the biggest lie you're telling yourself is that you don't have enough to get started or to move forward. What you have might not be enough to do everything you want to do, but it is enough to move you forward. You have a lot, but it remains small because you don't see it as a lot. Then I think where I wrapped up last week was money is never your only problem. Let me do a quick check at the chat. All right, Toby, just let me know. Are you having a situation where the noise is still disturbing? So I'm not just yapping and yapping and yapping. Let me just check my WhatsApp real quick, because I know if it is bad, Diola would have said something. All right, you got nothing, so let's press on. All right. Well, I was doing a recap. I said money is never your problem. A money problem is a symptom. Money is never your only problem. A money problem is a symptom, not the root cause. If you don't have resources you need to build what you want to build, or when you hear build, it sounds like this one of these, should I say, one of these buzzwords. When you hear build, it's like you're doing something. You can build relationships. You can build a business. You can build your career. You can build your knowledge. You can build your understanding. So build doesn't have to be anything super extra. I think. All right, no noise. Thank you, Toby. It doesn't have to be anything. If you haven't seen it, or if you're a part of it, you would understand what I'm saying, what I'm going to say next. But if you haven't seen it, I suggest you go to the teaching I did on poisons, potions, and progress, where I talked about little doses of what ought to kill you, administered consistently, makes you stronger. So essentially, when I say build, it doesn't have to be that you're building the next Microsoft or the next iPhone. It can be something simple, right? So if you don't have the resources you need to build what you want to build, or to create what you want to create, to do what you want to do, it's never just a money problem. I talk about it could be a value problem, a relationship problem, perspective problem, perception problem, right? And I believe that is where I wrapped it up last week. Is there anything else that I'm missing, guys? And now we're about to blast off for the week. Let me make sure that I'm on the right Wi-Fi, because this guy gets funny sometimes. All right, looks like everything is good. Perfect. So today, I did say I wanted to tell you guys a bit of my story last week, and then I postponed it. What I went to do this past week was I actually took some time to go and dig through the archives to show you some of the, instead of just telling you, let me show you some of the things I'm going to be teaching you today. I will show you about, times that I had to use those principles to make certain decisions, right? So after speaking about, money is not your only problem. Right now, what I'm trying to establish for you is the gaps between where you want to be, what most people are not seeing, the gap between where you want to be and where you currently are. The number one excuse people make is there's no money, there's no resources. And I think we already slayed that dragon, didn't we? The next thing is, I don't know what to do, right? And most people, at least for me, I have found that most times when I say I don't know what to do, I actually already have an idea of what I want to do. Matter of fact, out of the list of, let's say, 4 or 5 things that I've written down that I want to do, that I plan that I want to do, I sort of already know the one that is very clear. And the rest are usually just distractions. But because we are trying to over polish the process of growth, because we're trying to be exceptional too fast. I don't know how to put that. I'm looking for the best way to put that. You're looking for a Hollywood or a Nollywood life scenario. You're expecting something dramatic to happen that makes it clear that this is what you're supposed to do. You're expecting something worth posting, something worth vlogging, something worth doing get ready with me with. You're expecting all of those things to happen. You're expecting something almost supernatural that will make you feel like, oh, this is the right path. But it never really happens like that. I was just, before coming back home to do this live session, I was at my friend's place and he's into media. And he was basically talking about how, and the reason why I like having conversations like this with him is he's into media, like the broadcasting part. I'm into like marketing, which is the creative part, and choosing what is being said and whatnot. And he says something. He said most of what you see on media is it is perfectly polished, um, perfectly polished version of a lie, of the truth. That is actually, if you think about it critically, it is actually a lie, but it is polished to look true. I don't know. I don't know if I said that correctly. This is the truth. Then they just sort of say it in a way that, do you know you can be misled by the truth. I can tell you the truth and still mislead you. Let me tell you where I'm going to. Where I'm going to, I even lost my point while trying to make another point. Man, I'll get it back. I'll get it back. I'll get it back. Perfectionism. Yeah, thanks, Toby. Part of the reasons why people are looking for all of those things is we see these stories, right? We see these stories. And sometimes we are blind to the fact that these things are just stories. We see these stories of, let's say, one music label signed this person, and oh my God, just last year, this person was singing under the bridge in Ojuelegba. I don't know if there's a bridge in Ojuelegba. I don't know much about Lagos. And, somehow, one person posted their video, or they were just playing randomly, and then one person posted their video, and then somebody saw it and sent it to Don Jazzy, and Don Jazzy sent it to this person, and that person sent it to this person. And wow, that is how this person was just pulled out of the gutter in one day, and now they're a millionaire. Do those things happen? Sometimes they do. But that is not a strategy for growth. That is not a strategy for your own life. And people polish things that are not as exceptional as you think. They make it super exceptional. They tell a story out of it. And because of that, almost all of us have been conditioned to expect extra natural, I don't want to say supernatural, extra natural revelations of who we are, or some dramatic entrance into destiny, quote and unquote. You think that you sort of wish it, even though you may not say it. You are like the two guys that have just finished dragging what they like to drag, and then they start talking about, oh, imagine you say one helicopter, I only drop 1 million naira for this place. So you know, that kind of thing. All those eye talks, right? You have a secret fantasy that, when you do make it big, it's going to be something elaborate and something beautiful enough for you to make a post about it, that the whole world will be like, wow. And I don't blame you, I don't blame anybody, because most of us grew up on stories like that. One rich man died, and then they called his brother in the village to come and inherit his property. That doesn't happen in real life. The 2026 version is one person is doing philanthropy videos up and down. They saw this, is it philanthropy or philanthropy? I think it's philanthropy. They saw this person by the roadside, they helped them and whatnot. Oh, there was one person, and this one actually happened. There was one person on Twitter, she tweeted, she tagged prospective a prospective employer. The person saw it, people started retweeting it, the person saw it, she got the job, and now she's a superstar in the industry. This one actually happened. But those things are exceptions, they are not the rules. The things that change people's lives are boring, quiet, super mundane, nothing special, things that happen every single day that they turned into something exceptional. And it all starts with one thing. It starts with a vision. People are too, maybe don't let me say people, you that you're watching me, you are too busy in the fantasy that you have been sold by media and by stories that everybody, have you noticed, everybody has a cool story to tell. It's fascinating. Everybody's life is interesting right now. And you don't even have to be super exceptional. They just have to have a mic, a voiceover, and a bunch of cuts. What are they cutting off? They are cutting off the. This is not a video against social media and whatnot. Pardon me. Let me stay on topic. Right. So while you're painting, while you're distracted by all the stories, while you're distracted by all the expectations of glitz and glamour, you are blinding yourself, you are deadening, if that's a word, you are deadening the mind of your eye, which is your visions, your imaginations. You are not allowing it to run wild. You are not allowing it, you are not owning it into your own reality and then building from that into something that is possible for you. So let me ask you now. Maybe you can put it in the comments. Asha Khan, thank you. Maybe you can put it in the comments. What is the vision that you have for your life for the next 5 years? I know when they ask questions like that, what are the, at a certain point, we grow a sort of familiarity with common wisdom. Let me call it like that. What is your plan for the next 5 years? You just think it's one of those things that they say that is boring, but that is something that I believe everybody should continue to recalibrate, their minds with. What is your vision for the next 5 years? Are you just daydreaming, watching different people's vlogs, watching different people's get ready with me, watching the highlight reels of other people's life? Have you ever wondered that it is possible that you get exceptional enough in your own unique way such that your own life is screen worthy as well? But I also don't blame you. It doesn't take much to get views. It doesn't take much to get the attention. People get attention of millions of people with blatant stupidity these days. So, you know, I don't know. Let me just keep quiet there. But let me stay on topic. What is the vision for your life? What vision do you have for yourself? The thing that gets people stuck is, number one, there's plenty distraction. The second thing is you are too scared to be wrong. What if you write something down that is your vision for your life? And you yourself, you're not very certain about it. And everything there is like, I'm not very sure. I'm not saying you should say your vision is to land on the moon. There's a point where, even if that is what you want to do, you have to be sure that there's something now that can tether you to that. Even if it is not a very strong one, if it is not a very strong anchor, there has to be something that you can be working on right now that will lead you to that. But the question still remains, why are you too scared to be wrong about what you're picturing in your mind about yourself? And who told you you're wrong? Are you scared that you're wrong, or are you scared that you could be right? Sometimes some people are scared that they could be wrong, and some people are scared that they could be right. And let me tell you, the guy that you're looking at on your screen right now, I was scared that I could be right to some extent. Matter of fact, I still share that fear till right now. Right? Because I have a vision of myself where, I am known globally for impacts that I'm making in the minds of people. But sometimes I'm scared that I'm right. Because you know what that means? Because it means that now I have responsibility to millions of people. It means that now, I can't just mess around or make any mistake without it being out in the open and whatnot. You understand? So sometimes I won't lie to you, I'm scared that that vision is right. So that could also be you. Are you, because I'm saying you're scared that you're wrong, that you might be wrong. There's also people that are scared that they're right. But let me stay on the people they're scared they're wrong. If you're later wrong, you just write something else down. If you're later wrong, you just envision something else. But I'm not saying that you should have a new vision for yourself every 2 weeks. Something should make you feel like, maybe this isn't really for me. After you've tried different things out, after you've tested. But this is one thing, this is one caveat, this is one way you know that you're not just jumping here and there. No matter what vision that you have for yourself, no matter what it is that you have in your heart, burning in your heart, even if you are miles off, there's usually one small thing, one tiny thing that is right about it. And that thing is what will lead you to the new vision. Right? How can I get this? How can I get this? How can I get this? All right. For me, back in school, I was part of a couple of events that were really interesting, really awesome. I honestly thought I was going to go into like planning events or organizing events and whatnot. I really thought that was going to be it. But after a while, I just thought about it like, nah, you know what? I don't really think that is me. But one thing that I discovered is I know how to create concepts that are interesting. And I know how to write in a way that is compelling to people. I know how to sell ideas to people that make them feel like, hey, come on, I'd like to be a part of that. And from there, I got the anchor into writing, direct response copywriting. You understand? So I was wrong. So what? I painted a new picture for myself. I went for the next vision. But like I said, a good way to tell if you're just jumping from here to there is even if you are 99% wrong, there's usually 1% where you're like, but you know what? Even though I was wrong, this thing I discovered about myself and this thing I can carry forward. So I ask you again, what is your vision for your life? Do you have it? It's okay to have it and later be wrong. It's better to know you were wrong than to always wonder if it could ever happen. You see, most of the headache that people have is they've had a lot of pictures in their mind, they've developed a lot of things they want to do, but they never tried anything, right? So they really don't know if it could have worked. They really don't know what they could have learned. And there's that sort of resentment, self-resentment, like why does this always happen? Why always may I always missing out? Except if you're going to lie, there are ideas that you've had that you never took action on. And then you see somebody else, maybe on social media or somewhere else doing it. And you're like, man, this guy isn't even that great. He's not even not as a matter of envy, but you just know that this person is just scraping the bottom of the barrel for nothing that's not for barrel of, they're scraping the bottom of a somewhat empty barrel, but they are still getting something out of it and they're still going with it. But you never took action. It's because even if it is just 1% that is right, that 1% usually is worth it. So I ask you again, I've stayed on this for quite some time. What is the vision that you have for your life? Why are you scared? Too scared to set that vision, make it plain. Why are you too scared to engage it? Because you could be wrong. It's okay if you're wrong. It is your vision, not anybody's vision. You don't have to be validated by anybody else. It is your vision. Let's move on. Oh yeah, the next point is you will never ever 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 be ready. Toby, I know I think you know what, because of Toby, I'm going to go and do the next just switch back to the screen. I'm going to do the next session, the next teaching to be the Messi method. Or maybe I'll just do that in a closed group because I do have quite a list of things I want to talk about. And the Messi method is essentially an expansion of this thing I'm about to say. You will never, ever, 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 ever be ready for anything that you want to do. Any vision that you have, you will never, ever, ever, ever be ready. Do you know the funny thing about ready? You can feel ready, and even that is just a feeling, not a reality. The funny thing about ready is not a state. Ready is a process. I'll say it again. The funny thing about ready or readiness is ready is not a state, ready is a process. Let me use this super simple, super funny example. Do you know that your food that you say is ready, when you take it off the pot or off the stove, it is still cooking, but you said it's ready. You said it is ready. It is ready to eat. The eat from the pot is still cooking it. It is not ready. It is not ready. It is still cooking. So what I'm trying to say to you is, I know that was a very simple example, but ready is a process. It's not a fixed state. Ready depends on who wants to use what is said to be ready. Ready depends on who wants to use what is said to be ready. Some people, all they have to just do is have a feeling of a direction that, okay, this could work, and they just move. At the center of water, right? Some people, all they need is a feeling that, you know what, a hunch, this could work, and they just move, and they're going to figure it out. Whereas some people need some sort of examples, some sort of learning, some sort of this, some sort of that before they move. Ready depends on who wants to use that which is said to be ready. And you can see it in, I don't know, I'm just using food. Hope I don't get hungry using food. I don't know if you guys, I like to eat proteins a lot, meats a lot. So I know I watch, and my wife has made me watch a bunch of cooking shows. So I know that there are different levels of what's it called? There are different levels of steak, right? They call something rare, medium rare, ready, and all of that. For some people, they like medium rare. I don't think I'll ever like medium rare, whatever. It's like it's still red in the middle, and then you see something that's most people call blood, but it's not blood. It's I think the myoglobin or something from the muscles just coming up. Some people, that is, you get the meat to that level, it is ready to them, right? Whereas there are some people that want it to be cooked, only that it is all, it's brown and whatnot. And some people cook their meat till it starts to fall off the bone. So it depends on who wants to use this thing that you're saying is ready or not. So if I'm to wrap up this, should I say this bucket of what I've just said is, number one, have a vision, make it plain. Have it no matter how rough it is. Have it despite the fact that you could be wrong. Have it despite the fact that you could be wrong. It is okay, right? You can just start something new. You can just set your eyes at something else. But I did give a caveat. If you actually did have a good vision for yourself and you actually put in the work for yourself, even if you're there's something about yourself that would lead you on to the next, vision that you have of yourself, right? The next problem that I've noticed for people that tends to ground people, um, you know, that tends to ground people and prevents the opportunity to build instead of drifting is, man, what just popped up in my head now? I feel like I'm just throwing jabs at social media, but I honestly do not have anything against social media. What I have against social media is how people behave on it. I believe that the culture that we have right now, um, and I think the reason is very apparent to me is because I do marketing. I'm a marketer by true to the bone, right? So I understand when things are being said or done just to get a reaction, but most people don't. Let me give you an example. There's the buzz of AI, right? AI will take your job, AI will take your job. It's People talk about that like it's a new idea. Machines and technology have been taking people's jobs since probably the 1800s. I saw in a clip where math teachers were protesting the use of calculators whenever it was invented. When industries and manufacturing plants started using heavy machinery, it put some people out of the job. So it's not a new concept. So AI is going to take jobs, but people are going to adjust. Now the thing is, will some people suffer before they adjust? True, they will, right? But that doesn't mean that everybody's just going to suffer and the whole world is going to end. However, you see threads on Twitter like AI has totally ended the career of all photographers. Use these three prompts, da 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 da, something something something, and that is only said to trigger you. That is only said to get your attention to it. That doesn't mean that that thing is true. By the time you read through that thing, you find out that it's actually they're just trying to get you to read it, but they've pre-framed you into believing that thing. Same thing where, you know, there's a part where people tell you don't take nonsense from anybody. There's a part where people tell you know your value, right? But there's a part where there's your value as a human being. Fundamentally, there are certain ways that you should not allow yourself to be treated. But if you're just fresh out of school, or you're just fresh in an industry, without doubt, there are some things that you're going to have to do that may seem derogatory, but you know you're just paying your dues. Nobody wants to pay their dues now. I was on a call with somebody that um, I knew a long time ago, but then I just saw that this person had reached out maybe last year, and I felt bad, like, hey, I didn't respond, so I called. She's quite a young person, and then I was just basically asking, hey, how's it going, and everything. And then she was basically telling me about, yeah, she's doing this, she's doing that. She even missed an opportunity for a job, and she missed the opportunity for a job because of how she responded to the person that messaged her on WhatsApp. And she thinks, yeah, she knows that, she knows she responded somehow, but she thinks that the director too was very rude. How can you just message me out of the blue, da, 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 da. So I'm like, who are you? This one, that one. If you can't, she basically was saying she was being abrasive. So after listening to her, I just told her, you know what? The person may have been wrong, but you were also wrong to respond like that. Social media and the culture of today has a very adverse effect on what people think is character. And you cannot, now I'm starting to sound like your pastor, but it is just the truth. Let me just tell you a couple of it. The simple rule is treat people the way you want to be treated. But the sad thing about that is, and I don't want to be rude, but the sad thing about that is most people have a bad vision and a bad image of themselves. So they actually treat themselves badly. So if you say they should treat people the way that they treat themselves, they actually will treat people badly. They speak terribly, they speak terrible things about themselves. They believe bad things about themselves. So if you tell them to treat people the way they treat themselves, it's actually terrible advice for those people. So let me just give you like 40 quick points that I think will guide you. The first thing I'm going to say is be meek. You know what? I wrote that down and I didn't say, let me even Google what meekness is. There are some words that you just have a sense that you know. True. Let me just read it from the dictionary. Be meek, to be quiet, gentle, and easily imposed on. Maybe this is not what I mean, but of course you have to be selectively meek. But you have to have some iota of meekness. Of course, you have to open your eyes and know who you are being meek to, or who you are being submissive to, or who you are being easily imposed on. At the end of the day, I guess the better word to say is be teachable, right? Um, you get where you're arrogant and you get where you know they're arrogant. There are places where you should. There are places that arrogance would help you. I don't think arrogance is really a good thing, but I don't think anything is inherently bad. Depends on how it's deployed. There are sometimes that some level of arrogance and I know who I am is necessary. But there are some places where you bow, and you have to know where you bow. The only way for you to get deep and know more than what most people know is for you to be meek and teachable. It is terrible character. It is, it shows a myopic mindset if your explanation to everything is, and I'm this kind of person that if every time you want to explain something, especially when a situation has gone wrong, and you always start with, and I'm this kind of person that, it means this is who you've always been, right? And you're not willing to change. Now, let me give you balance there. The balance is the fact that you could be right. You could be dealing with somebody that is, dealing in bad faith. But if you are still saying, I'm this kind of person that likes to give people chances, likes to this, likes to that, and those things are still repeating themselves, you're actually taking pride in that good thing. And pride, that kind of pride is the bad kind of pride. You are taking pride in the fact that you're easygoing. You are taking pride. I don't know if you understand what I mean. That is the direct opposite of the kind of meekness that you need to be. Sometimes the lesson you learn from that is you don't deal with this kind of people. Sometimes the lesson you learn is I need to close myself off from certain kind of people. But let's bring it back home. You need to be teachable and you need to understand where you need to bow and where you need to stand up for yourself. You should always have, I think it was in a verse of scripture where Paul said, to abase and to abound. You can be in the same state at the same time. You know when to speak for yourself and you know when you need to keep quiet. Most people don't have that. The second thing, which is I'm seeing some comments, let me check real quick. Oh, sorry. Yes. Live sessions is on Friday for now. Pardon me, guys. Yeah. Thanks for calling that out. Certain people already treat themselves badly. So telling them to treat people the way they treat themselves, actually you encourage them to do badly. The second thing is take ownership. And if you can join this live, watch one thing and go, I hope it is this thing. If you just joined this live, I am wondering where you need to stop because you don't have time to listen to the whole thing. I'll ask you to wait till the end of this thing. I would say that one of the highest leverage the things that have given me the highest leverage in my life, career wise and otherwise, is taking ownership. when I work in a business, I treat it like it's my business. Not that I'm trying to take over the owner, but the excuses that stop other people don't stop me. People like to turn off their brains once they see a challenge, and people just want to say somebody else will do it. And it's probably the problem with Nigeria today. If it is meant to be done, I've forgotten that quote. If I remember, I'll say it. I don't want to start telling stories yet, but one of the places I can say, I'm thinking of the best way to deliver this. Ownership basically means, okay, let me just tell the story this way. Back when I was working at the gym, right? What was I hired for? I was hired to be a social media manager. What was my job? Posts, make nice videos, get engagements, build followers. But then I also knew that if I get engagement, build followers, and it does not really translate to actual paying customers for the business, then all I'm just doing is, hey, look, I don't care what happens to your business. I have posted today. I have done this today. I don't care if your business closes down. I don't care what happens. Please just pay me my money at the end of the month. I was telling my friend, I said, there's a difference. You always tell the difference between an employee that came for the job and an employee that came for the pay. Most people just go for the pay. It's not bad. I'm trying to remember that verse of scripture that says something like a laborer is worth his pay, or something like, I've forgotten what it was said, but essentially you should get paid. I'm not, it is your right, but you're not going to grow living with the attitude of, if it perishes, it perishes. Whatever happens, happens. Right? So I was brought in as a social media manager, and I knew that if it does not translate to actual money, it doesn't really make sense for the business owner. So what did I start to do? I started to brainstorm. How can I make sure that once people see these things, they want to talk to me, and I find a way to drag them into paying for the gym. And I didn't even realize that I was quietly, unknowingly stumbling into a different area of business, a different skill set called funnel building. So while I'm trying to take ownership, while I'm trying to do beyond what I am being paid for, I learned something else that has now become an addition to myself. If you remember at the beginning of this and last week, I said everything a builder does turns into assets and to leverage. I just developed a leverage for myself without even knowing. Right? So what I did was, people would DM me and then I'll follow up. And then what I went to do, again, I didn't even realize that I was building what would become my next career. So I went on Google. Hey, how can I track this? How can I track that? How can I track people that are messaging me? And I discovered a platform called Airtable. So I went on Airtable. So part of the things I noticed also is, I don't know who has subscribed. I don't know when their subscription ends, so that I can try and convince them to get another subscription. The people that were handling it, God bless their souls, they were overworked. So they were just using a bunch of random papers that were scattered every time. So I sat down with a heap of paper of clients' documents, and I put it into a digital system where I can look, this is when this person's system starts, this is when it ends. Please send me a notification when it's about to end. Without knowing, I even stumbled into something else called customer relationship management. Again, remember what I said. Everything a builder does turns into assets and leverage. I stumbled into the use of tools for customer relationships management. So what did I start to think? I said, okay, when people come into the gym, what are they trying to do? They come around, they look around, they are fascinated by it. So maybe they'll just leave, right? So I said, you know what? How about I let them have a taste of this? If they have a taste of this, they probably take pictures and whatnot. They have a feeling of, man, I loved this. So what I did was, anybody that comes, I say, hey, just check out the gym. And I said, hey, please let us just print these small cards, right? Anybody that comes, I'll give them the card that gives them 3 days free access, right? And of course, I told my boss about it, and he liked the idea. And then we started doing that. None of these things were part of my job description. Remember, my job was what? My job was social media manager, post on social media, do videos, make sure you post every day and grow followers. So one thing I did, anytime those people that I give the cards, when they come, I just watch them. And then at that time, I didn't have a good phone. I think I was using one terrible Techno phone, but most of them was in a great area. Rich people come there, or people that at least could afford iPhones at the time. So I'll just say, hey, you're about to do that, I'll just collect their phone. And then I'll take pictures of them, I'll take videos from them. I'll be like, do you mind if I post it? They'll be like, nah, no problem, because they love themselves in this gym attire. They love themselves doing these cool things that are going on and is going on in the gym. Guess what I just did unknowingly? I was creating something called user-generated content. And now, because these people now, and that is how it even helped my job, I was never devoid of what to post. Most people will sit down and be writing, it's devoid of even the right way to say this. I was never lacking of what to post. Most people will start sitting down and writing content calendar. I'm not saying it's bad, but I never had to plan content calendar because content won't enjoy me. So now I had content from people that have given me consent, filming it on their iPhone that is better than my own phone that will look like you rubbed Vaseline on the screen, on the camera. And then before they leave, most of the time they pay. Because now they are seeing themselves in this thing. I've talked to them, I've explained everything to them. And I try to get them on the 3 months plan. Most of them don't. Then I let them get on the one month plan. And then 3 weeks later, when I know they've loved it, 2 months plan, 2 weeks later, when I know they've loved it, I'll say, you know what? I think 1 month was 20K, 3 months was 40K. I'll be like, you know what? I know at this point they are loving it and they're wondering, man, I should have just done 40K for 3 months. I'll say, you know what? How about you just add 20K to it and I'll bump you up to 3 months. They're like, Samuel, thank you. They'll transfer immediately. Everything I just said was my old playbook for growing that place from like 300,000 naira in revenue to like 1.3, 1.5 million naira in revenue that far back. And what was my job? What was I hired for? I was being paid 70,000 naira. Most people, a lot of people were even getting paid more than me. I weren't doing half of what I was doing, right? But what was the summary of everything I was doing? I was taking ownership. I had many excuses. I could stick with social media management alone, and that would be cool. I could say because of the system they had in place, the papers they were using, whatnot, and that would be cool. I could say if people subscribe, it doesn't concern me. That would be cool. Matter of fact, most of the money that I make, most people join, they keep joining and joining and joining. I took so much ownership that there was a day that I actually shed tears when a customer canceled. Why? Because I was getting frustrated because I was putting all this effort in and it seemed like certain people were just wrecking it, scamming customers and whatnot. You understand? Of course, I'm not going to be shedding tears for anything anymore like that, except if it's my own. But that journey of taking ownership, and this is just one of it, I put it to you that by the time I was going to get an international gig, what helped me? The confidence that I had. Most people in the gym thought I was a manager, but I was a social media manager. What helped me? Even the staff that were there started seeing me as the manager. So most of the time I was delegating tasks, I was leading the team. When I eventually got a role at an international agency, it was a leadership role. And what I used as my experience was the job that they never gave me, I just took. Nobody gave me the gym to manage. They gave me social media management. But I took ownership of it. Check in the chat. The laborer is worthy of his wages. Thank you. Thank you, Mary, for pointing that out. Awesome. So I took ownership. Most people don't know how to take ownership. I've done my own. It's not working. Whatever. Then you go from excuse to excuse to excuse to excuse to excuse. Is it your fault? No, but it can be your responsibility to get it well. And most of the time, people are too scared of being used. But I keep saying this. The only reason why somebody wants to use you is because you are useful. The only reason why somebody wants to use you is because you can be useful. There are some people that nobody even wants to use. The only problem with being used, is if while they are using you, you shut off your own brain. Let me explain. Another problem people have is because they don't take ownership, because they do not reflect. Wait, sorry guys. Okay, that is perfect. Let me just check my mic. Sound is good. Because they don't reflect, right? Now I lost my train of thought. I hate when this happens. I was talking about useful and usefulness. They're useful. Yeah, because they don't take ownership, because they don't reflect, all they do is get the job done and nothing else. They never sit back and think and say, this person that is paying me 100,000, if they are comfortable paying me 100,000 every month, or 150,000, or 200,000, or even 500,000, or a million thousand, if they are comfortable paying me that amount, what are they doing? What are they doing? What is the math? What is the rationale behind how they make a profit? Or you just don't care? Your own is let them just give you that one. Okay, that is small and myopic thinking, and it is why people get stuck in the same place for years. Let me open your eyes to something. When you are being used, or when you are part of an organization, if you do not have an understanding of what turns your raw talent or your activities into value for that organization, should I say, you are missing out on the real cake. You think the cake is the salary. The real cake is understanding, I don't know how to use myself to the best. I don't know how to use myself to the best level of output, or I don't have the resources for it. But I will open my eyes to understand how these people turn my own skill, my own time, energy, and attention into value that is profitable for them. I knew the whole playbook of how the gym makes money. Well, I'm not going to start a gym, but that knowledge is transferable into what I'm doing. Why? You think you are doing the person that you're working for. I just what I'm doing. Once this time I'll close. And they not pay me for this one. That one. That one. And you get to church on Sunday or however you pray, and you pray for breakthrough, and you pray for, where is the wisdom going to come from? Your eyes are closed and you're asking for direction. Open your eyes and see. I'll say it again. Your eyes are closed and you're asking for direction. If I point, where will you go? Open your eyes to see how your value is being extracted. I'll say it again. Open your eyes to see how your value is being extracted. Like my wife would say, don't turn off your. Most people turn off their brain. Most people just turn off their brain. What makes my skill valuable? What do they do? And not just the money side. Look at the process side. What are the guardrails that they put in place to make sure they get the best out of us? One of the things that I discovered, I'm a freelancer, quote unquote, even though they told me to stop calling myself a freelancer. I do run an agency, right? And to be honest, I can choose not to work certain hours, but I still make sure that I work from a certain time to a certain time, like I have a job. Before it even made sense, I moved from a single one-room apartment into a three-bedroom apartment so that I can have an home office. Why? Because I discovered that even though you are working from home, you still have to have that mind. You still have to put up guardrails. You still have to put up a system. You still have to put up a culture. You still have to put up boundaries that makes you productive. So I had my home office with just a simple table and chair. I had my bedroom, and there was absolutely nothing in my parlor until after I got married. And then I had a visitor's room that maybe once in a while my siblings or whoever would come and visit. I discovered from working in the agency that certain structures are important to get productivity out of people. Then I started to use that on myself. Right? I started to use that on myself. So open your eyes to how value is being extracted. And then finally, on having good character. Man, I thought I was going to round this up today. Let me message management to see if I can get to 9:30. you guys don't know who management is, too bad for you. Give me a second. There's still a lot to talk about. Let's see if management would agree to 9:30. All right, open your eyes to see how your value is being extracted. Right on. I'm just checking the comments. Management has approved 9:30. Somebody shout out at management in the chat. All right. The last point on character is treat people good because you want to be good, not because of what you will get from it. Let me tell you guys a story. So there's a supermarket where we usually go and buy stuff, right? And thank God that I'm able to do it. Most of the time, when I go there, I usually would I'll tip the guys at the security guys at the entrance. So most of the time, when they see me coming, they want to make sure that they won't pass me like they will rush down there. I'm not saying this to mock them. It is what it is, right? Even if it was me that somebody was giving me something consistently, of course I'll pay attention to the person, right? And then they will, most of the time when they see me coming out, they rush to help me to carry stuff to the car and whatnot, and all of that makes sense. Again, not a bad thing. But you know when it got bad? At the point where my wife was pregnant, here I was coming out of the supermarket. I was carrying, we bought a lot of stuff. I was carrying a couple of things. My wife, who was pregnant, heavily pregnant by the way, was also carrying something. Common sense, I believe, would let the person know that the person you should help is the pregnant woman who is carrying something. But because it's not the pregnant woman that is giving him money, because it's not the pregnant woman, I hope management is saying that people are shouting out at management in this chat. Because because it's not the pregnant woman that is giving him money, he left the pregnant woman and he came to collect back from him. Like, bro, help my wife. Me, I can carry it. Don't try and cozy up to me because of what I'm going to give you or what you think I'm going to give you. And the point I'm trying to make here is treat people good because you want to be good, not just because of what you want to get. I think common sense would have told that person. Of course, I didn't hold a grudge or anything. If I'm there, I still assist as much as I can. But I think common sense would have told that person. If the person was actually doing it to be good, it would just let the person know that this is the person. I should help his wife, not him in this case. Not try and. Matter of fact, I think our brother used to say something about. Guy is funny. He said, if that guy see Uncle Sam, now small he go remain. Now small he remain. If we start to sing daddy, guy is crazy. But people sense it when you're just being nice to them, just because of what you want to get. And it's a bad stench. It's the truth now. Help my wife. Abby. And it's a very bad stench to have on you. When people just know. Now there's a difference because people call other people bad friends because they haven't called them for ages or whatnot. All of you are looking for bad friend. If everybody's bad friend to you, chances are you're the one that is the bad friend. But that aside, of course, there are people that you can just call up randomly. I have friends that I've known since primary school. We might not speak for a year, but we call each other up. We know it's not because we need help, right? But it's from a level of respect and knowing that we have value to exchange. So there's that. But there's a way that people know that you're just gaming them. Sometimes people will know that you're trying to get into their good graces and you're working towards it. That is not bad as well. But most of the time, the way you win those people's hearts is actually what they notice about how you treat other people that can't do anything for you. Let me give you an example, right? I was working at the reason why I keep using the dream is because it was the last physical job that I had before I started taking international gigs. Let me check the chat. Common sense moves out of the way when money is involved, dude, my guy. Anyway, so I'm working at the gym, and then Man, it was a traumatic experience. I'm not even going to lie, because sometimes the gym closes at 10. Sometimes, even though I close by 5, I'm leaving 5:36. Sometimes 6:30 and whatnot. And even at that, even when I'm home, I'm still responding to people because there's a night shift and all of that. And then a signal comes. Somebody messages me that one of the trainers had a bit of a scuffle. He alleged that the person was being disrespectful to him and other clients, and he wasn't having it, right? And then, of course, I talked to the trainer. Trainer said, okay, this happened, that happened, whatnot. And again, like I said, what am I? Social media manager. What did I do? I picked up my phone. From that database of stuff, I told you guys that I had moved from the paper database into the physical database, into the CRM database. So I just picked it up from that CRM database and I called him and I said, I'm really sorry. I apologized to him and everything. He ranted, I'm never coming to this gym again. Da da da. You know, he was even blasting. You guys are standard is this, da 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 da. Everything went ballistic on me, dropping bombs and whatnot. I'm really sorry about that, sir. All of that. I apologized to him. And then the next morning I texted him. I said, I just wanted to follow up. I had a conversation with the coach. He's sorry too. I somehow convinced the guy to also apologize, which he did, and all of that. The guy didn't come to the gym for like a week or two, but then he later came, and then some other stuff happened that didn't wasn't a quarrel or anything, and he said he wasn't coming anymore. And I never heard from this man for, I don't know, maybe months. I don't even remember. And then all of a sudden, I'm on a bike back from work one day, probably eating agbado because that was the only thing that used to give me joy then. And then I got a message that you have been recommended for a role of assistant general manager at was a new hotel that they had just opened. I'm like, what is, I even thought it was a scam at first, but I checked it out and it seemed legit. And they said if I'm cool with it, we can have a Zoom call with the founders, the owners this evening. And you know me, I'm always ready. I stay ready, brother. They said, cool, let's do it. Right? I texted my girlfriend and my girlfriend, now wife, aka management, like, check this out. Like, okay, try it out, let's see. And then I got on the call, they asked me questions, they did this, they did that. I noticed there was somebody on the call that wasn't really talking, a third person, or maybe the fourth person in the room. Shout out Holy Spirit. So there was this guy that wasn't talking, right? And then towards the end, they said, yeah, TC, do you want to say something? Then he started speaking. I thought I knew his voice, but I wasn't sure, so I just coughed it off. I'd asked them before that who recommended me. They sort of brushed it off. And since they didn't want to say, I said, okay, cool. And then the guy now said something like, hey, it's TC, so and so. Do you remember I was one that had that issue with, you know, the trainer? I don't want to call names, that's why I stuttered. With the trainer and whatnot. And I have to say, I was exceptionally pleased with the way you handled it, even though you were not there and even though it was not your fault. I know that, you know, everybody else there was just trying to avoid it. And I know that you went the extra mile just to get that done. Again, ownership, right? What I was thinking was not even about me. What I was thinking is, if I don't address this guy, this is somebody that, you know, maybe could be angry enough to go and talk to somebody else about this gym. And me, I had the targets for the gym. It wasn't my business. My salary never increased while I was there. But I had the targets to keep growing the gym, right? So he said he thought the way I handled it was great, and that is why he recommended me for this. Funny how I ended up not taking the job because not long after I got a different role that was much, you know, paying much more and whatnot. But it was just a wow to me. And to be honest, I've only seen this guy maybe 2 or 3 times, and he was one of these people that would just be on their own. We never really interacted or whatnot. But just from the way I handled something, when he just said, we just have to get this guy. Matter of fact, when I told his co-founders that I'm no longer interested, he called me personally and said, Samuel, I would really like you to be on it. Right? So just from a single interaction, I got a job. Matter of fact, the job was coming with several benefits. It would have been a great career move, but I was already going in a different direction. So again, treat people good because you want to do good. or you want to be good, not because you get anything out of it. I'll just rush through the next couple of things. Be helpable and get help. Sometimes, let me put it this way. The best way for me to just wrap up this point is sometimes the people you need help from are just friends. Sometimes it's a total stranger. One of the things that helped me to make a big career shift was a total stranger. That's why nowadays I'm very, 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 very easy on, if I have resources like courses and whatnot. If somebody needs to learn, I give it to them, no matter how much I buy it. I've given people courses that I bought $300, $400, and whatnot, and even more, right? Because somebody randomly on Twitter, I don't know what I tweeted then. I think the guy is in the Middle East or something. I randomly just posted something on Twitter like, man, like for instance, me now, there's no way I could afford this right now, even though I'm interested. And the guy just DM'd me like, hey, I saw that you were interested in this. Would you like to gain access? I'm like, yeah. And at this point, this was a course that was over $1,000 while I was still getting paid 70K. So of course, there's no way that I was going to afford this $1,000. And it was me sitting down with that copywriting course, which was like one of the top courses in the world at that time. You understand? If I didn't set my eyes, if I didn't have that vision, it would not have any meaning to me. If I didn't have that vision for myself, a vision, we talked about vision here. If I didn't have that vision for myself, then actively, if I was claiming that I was being delayed, right, and not actively thinking, I'm trying to link everything up here, and not actively thinking about what else I can do. What else I could do was just look at, hey, where are all the top people learning from? Then I found out, and then I just made a random comment, and then somebody that till today, I don't know what the guy looks like. He's one of those people that on Twitter they just use, I don't know, a Kelly water bottle or something as their DP. I don't know what the guy looks like. Yet he gave me a course that was, I think, $1,000 or whatnot. If you're not on the way, nobody can help you. Nobody's going to come to your house to come and give you a lift. That's kidnapping. Nobody's going to come to your house and say, knock, 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 I want to give you a lift. That, my friend, is kidnapping. So nobody's going to kidnap you. But if you're on the way, they see that you're on the sun, under the sun, they see you and whatever, they might offer to help. So why you're too scared to be wrong? You're making yourself unhelpable because you're not going anywhere. Another way I can think about it is, if something is already in movement, already has momentum, if something is already moving, to help it keep up its momentum, taps. But if something is stagnant, it will take more force to push it. Nobody wants to exert extra force that they need to. Nobody wants to exert more force than they need to help somebody. So you need to be on the way. So make yourself helpable. And then finally, get your skin in the game. Number one, thinking about doing it is not doing it. Talking about doing it is not doing it. Writing it down is not doing it. Only doing it is doing it. I'll say it again. Thinking about doing it is not doing it. Talking about doing it is not doing it. Writing it down is not doing it. Doing it is doing it. Let me check the chat real quick. You literally have to have nothing to lose when you take ownership, 100%. A moving man will surely meet his luck. I actually like that quote. Who was that from, Timothy? A moving man will meet his luck. Ooh, I forgot to do something that Diola asked me to do. Let me just pin our WhatsApp community to this right now so that you guys can join if you're not a part of it already. Let me see. Let me pin it up here. Sorry, my guy, you didn't even remind me. You don't tire for me, Abby. I actually forget things. Let me pin it to the top in case there's somebody that needs to join. Okay, message pinned. Right, so I stopped at make yourself helpable. No, I already moved past that. I actually stopped at thinking about doing it is not doing it. Talking about doing it is not doing it. Writing it down is not doing it. Thinking about doing it is not doing it. Planning to do it is not doing it. Anything else than actually doing it is not doing it. And I think this is how I'm going to wrap up. and then I might just tell a little story. Or actually, I have some things I want to show you guys. Sorry, give me a second. All right, all right. This people don't understand the importance of getting your skin in the game. I'll say again, people don't understand the importance of getting your skin in the game. I'm trying to think of the quotes, but when it comes to me, I'll say it. I'm actually laughing because most of the time, the first thing that comes to my mind always sounds rude, and I try not to be rude. I try not to be rude. Let me give you an example for myself. I think it was 2020, late 2020. I had been thinking about being a copywriter. I had been talking about being a copywriter. I have been writing down being a copywriter, but I was not a copywriter. Do you know when I started being a copywriter? I was doing Digify, a Facebook sponsored boot camp, and one of our trainers just said that he has his own business, he runs ads, he runs this, he runs that, and I said, you know what, man? Let me just approach this man and tell him that I'm going to write copy for him. What's the worst that's going to happen? He'll say no. Actually, that's not what I thought. What I thought the worst that was going to happen is I'll write it for him and it will flop. But at least now I know that it flopped. So I approached him. I told him I can write copy. He said, cool. Then he sent me some stuff to write. I wrote it down. And then in the next class, we're like, yeah, one of you guys here actually wrote some copy for me and I'm running ads on it. And he showed me the result and it was good. Not exceptional, but good. He gave me some feedback. And then actually, he was the first ever person that paid me to be a copywriter. I don't think he knows that. Or I think I later told him. Sometime down the line, he needed to run a different offer. Then he chatted me up. Yes, I remember. I think he paid what I charged him, maybe like 20,000 or something. Now I'm saying 20,000 with bad mouth, but that time, bro, I remember exactly what I used that money for. I used that money to buy my first table and chair. And of course, it wasn't anything bougie like this one. It was just all this plastic table and chair. That was an achievement, too. That was an achievement. Plastic table, plastic chair. In my room in a flat apartment that was sharing toilets with like 3 other people, communal toilets, communal bathroom, communal kitchen. And we had like 5 to 7 rats living with us at the time. I bought brand new table and chair. That was a win, bro. But it started with getting my skin in the game. It started with me just knowing that the only way for me to do it is to do it. Worst that could happen would be I flop. Worst that could happen is it doesn't work and I get some bad feedback. But I would only be the person talking about being a copywriter if I don't actually do it. Another time that this one was actually earlier than this one was when I just had the idea to start a shoe business at the time. And this is the thing that most people do. Anytime you want to do something, you check it with your girlfriend, your sister, your uncle, or bestie from secondary school, your bestie from primary school. You just say, yeah, I'm working on. Yeah, the idea that I'm having now. And then somebody says, why don't you do this? Then at the end of the day, you're going to find somebody that will discourage you. You're going to find somebody that's going to give you stupid advice. You're going to find somebody that will kill that thing inside of you. And you yourself will convince yourself to not do it. Right? So I had the idea of starting the shoe business. Like, yeah, but I just found a lot of polish. One of the most dangerous people to advise is smart people. I think I'm smart. You can say I'm not. That's your problem. I think I'm smart. The problem with smart people is you can always find an excuse, a very smart and very polished way to talk yourself out of doing something. So I kept talking myself out of doing something. But my now wife, then girlfriend, God bless her. So God bless her, just told me, man, you've been talking about this for weeks. Why don't you just start doing it? Just post the thing. So the first shoe that I posted was actually the shoe that I did from the shoemaker. I just posted my own shoe. And I started wondering, man, will people judge me? Why am I doing this? At the end of the day, nobody cares. Matter of fact, more people admire you than look down on you. And the people that look down on you because you are doing that are either too lazy, too idle, too dumb, too much time on their hands, that they're not actually doing anything with their life. So all they ever sit around to do is talk about other people doing stuff. Other people doing stuff will actually admire you. Matter of fact, They'll probably advise. You don't take all advice. That's good advice. Don't take all advice is good advice. So the only way I could have started the shoe business is to start. You understand? That is just the simple thing. Get your skin in the game. Everything, I think it was Mike Tyson that said, I'm not sure if it's Mike Tyson or Muhammad Ali, said everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face. That's a boxing quote. All your planning and your scheming and all of that does not matter until you get into that ring. You have to get into the ring of life to actually stress test that your idea. You are delaying your own manifestation. You are delaying your own lessons and your own learning. See, I think I mentioned it here. One of a big lie that people believe is that their growth, or let me say, at the risk of sounding churchy, their breakthrough or their next level is locked up in time. Your next level is not locked up in time. It is locked up in moves. The reason why time passes is because you are trying to figure out the right moves that takes you to the next step, right? So the longer you wait to get your skin in the game, the longer you are prolonging, is that good English? The more you're prolonging the opportunity of getting the knowledge, the insights on the moves that will take you to the next level. You need to get your skin in the game. You are going to get hurt. You're going to lose your confidence. Man, there was a time at the gym that one guy was threatening me with soldier. That is going to be. I say it's not me that you send money to. You send it to business account. He said he wants refund. I say I'll tell my other. I saw this guy did nothing. He used everything to threaten me. He used courts to threaten me. My skin was in the game, and they won't kill me because of another person. Okay, it was Mike Tyson. Thank you. Yeah, thank you very much, Naya. Right? You need to get your skin in the game. All your talking, all your imagining, all your whatever, none of that matters until you get your skin in the game. And all of this comes down to one thing. And this is something I'm still learning myself in bits. You don't trust yourself enough. Let me still use the boxing reference. You don't trust yourself enough that you still be standing after you get the first punch. You see yourself as weak. You see yourself as small. You see yourself as negligible. So you somehow believe that if something should go wrong, it will end you. It will not. Sometimes you have to borrow other people's belief in you. So let me borrow the belief that I have in you. It is not going to end you. Whatever it is you're scared of, bad feedback. Man, I've had bad feedback in my life. I've had bad feedback in many languages. Somebody has cussed me out in German before. Somebody has told me my work was bad in German. I was working at the agency. The account is, man, I forgot to text this guy. The account of the German, what's it called? They've given me bad feedback in several languages. It doesn't kill you. It hurts, yes. Sometimes it seems unfair. Sometimes it's just subjective, not objective. But you grow thick skin. There's some things people will say about me now or about my work. I've been doing this copywriting thing for over 6 years as a career. But there are still sometimes I get bad feedback. But sometimes I also know, again, back to what I mentioned, being meek, right? There's someone I'm working with currently. I don't like the feedback that he gives. Sometimes it's just brutal to listen to or to watch, right? But then I just told myself one day, like, you know what, bro, you're actually going to become, even though that's not all I am anymore, but you're actually going to become a better business operator just watching this guy. So just keep quiet and listen, right? Just keep quiet and listen. And I have actually. And I think I'm going to, you know what, part of what I'm planning to do, and tell me if you're excited about it in the comments. Part of what I'm planning to do is to bring some of my clients onto this live sessions. I don't know, because of time zone, it might be difficult. For instance, the first guy I want to bring on board is, he stays in Hong Kong, and we'll probably have to do an afternoon slot if we're to do that. I don't know if you guys would prefer that we do it live so you can ask questions, or I should record at his convenience while you guys may have sent me questions ahead. The reason why I want to do something like that is people tend to, and this is me going off on a tangent, I have found that a mistake that most of you, yes, even me, it started with me, is you don't realize that the people hiring you, whether they are white, black, orange, Hispanic, whatever they are human beings like you that have dreams, that have goals, they have problems. Something happened earlier this month, and because of the way I treated the clients, he literally started praying for me. He's not a Nigerian, so you know, say Nigerians are, what's it called, are religious. He literally started praying for me, and that's because I've gotten to the level where I start to treat people as people. Most of you treat people as just a paycheck. You treat. That's why you don't understand how to talk to people, because your whole focus is, I'm getting a paycheck out of this. I don't care how much the project is. It is important that I get paid, right? Be a woman for me. But it's also important that I treat you like a human being, and I understand what goal you're trying to get out of this, so that I can help you reach that goal, and I can be happy and confident that I can charge you how I charge you, because I don't charge cheap. Right? I lost my train of thought. They were talking about skin in the game. So yeah, let me know in the comments if you like that. I can bring a couple of them. I can already think like 3 or 4 people, so you will understand that. And in case there's anybody here that has ever came to ask me about, hey, give me freelancing advice, or give me uh, Upwork advice or whatnot, this is the hack. Treat people like people. You are, even if it's, forget if it's foreigners or whatnot. You know what? I actually bring some people that hire people in the Nigerian space. Sometimes people hire you just because you're likable. Someone literally told me, that somebody else that his mentor recommended was 17%. So he calculated it. 17% cheaper than me. But he said he just felt like he connected with me deeper. Sometimes your likability is part of it. And part of your likability comes from the fact that you have value, you're not begging for anything. And so you can interact with them as somebody that is there to help them, and not somebody that is just trying to do something insignificant for them to pay you money. But that aside, the time that management gave us is already running out, right? I think I have sufficiently did justice to this topic. I really wanted to go into the nitty gritty of, like the background of my story. If it can be 4 p.m. downward, life is the way to go. He said that would be mad. Awesome. All right, since you guys love it, I'm going to try to get that done. I actually, start to talk to some of them this week and see how we can do it. But I do not think that we'll be able to do an afternoon or evening slot, specifically for the first person I want to bring on board, because Hong Kong time is like, I don't know. I know that by 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. is already like 8 p.m. is time. So by our time, who knows? Maybe we will just stay up later so that it will be his own morning. But we'll figure it out, right? We'll figure out the logistics. So I wanted to show you guys certain things about skin in the game. Right now, we are going into danger zone because the time that management give me has passed. So if anything happens after this, please promise me that you are going to back me up. All right, let me share my screen real quick and show you guys something. Let me first look at what I want to show you guys first about skin in the game and shooting your shots. All right. I guess what I'm trying to show you here again is something that I didn't really teach in this session, and that is the importance of hunger. Sadly, management is already texting me and yelling at me. Sadly, you can't teach hunger, but this is how hungry I was. This is me sending a random email to somebody at random back in 2021. You can see the date. I'm not even entirely proud of what I just put here because it seems like gibberish to me now. Was I crazy? I was sending somebody at 11:12. No wonder they didn't reply me. What? Now I feel like I should have vetted this. I actually read this, but I didn't see this part there. I vetted it before sharing it. So I said, I'm a digital marketer with specialty in content writing and creative strategy. After finding out about your company on LinkedIn and on Instagram, I love your innovative and technological approach to branding and communication. If you need more hands on deck in serving your global client base, I believe I can be of great help to you and your clients in marketing consultancy. Marketing consultancy. Opo. I have some experience working on briefs from reputable agencies here in Nigeria, agencies like TWA, Virus Digital, Web Coopers. Please find my resume attached to this. She did not post a job. I was looking for some sort of mentorship. I was looking for people that are doing the things that I want to be doing. And I found that person and I sent an email. What am I saying? Upload complete. Please watch out. I thought it canceled. Yeah, it's currently 4:30 a.m. in Hong Kong. Yeah, so we definitely can do this time. Somebody please beg management in the chat. Let me show you guys something else quickly. Still about skin in the game. This one is actually funny. When I saw this one, I was just laughing at myself. Let me see. I think we're doubling. I'm sorry, management. I know you can hear me. Let me try. Sorry, you guys. Almost done. We're almost done here. I just wanted to show you something so you know that I'm not just yapping without trying. And then there's something I want to pull out of this thing I'm showing you. So look at this one. Hello, Lada. My name is Samuel Kokumo. See, it happened again yesterday. I didn't even know why. By the way, this is me trying to show my copywriting skills, right? So it happened again yesterday. It has been happening a lot lately. In my mind, in my copywriting, you say something like you open a loop, right? With my life totally in the hands of a total stranger, it happened again. I'm on a motorcycle, scrolling through my phone, deep in thoughts, thinking the usual. I need to get my money right this year. I don't think anybody thinks like that. Then I saw an ad from Money Africa. I was drawn in by the outline of what I could learn in just 6 months. I definitely must subscribe, and I will. But that's not why I'm here today. I'm here because I discovered Money Africa launched a new product ladder, and I love it. And I think I didn't screenshot the rest of the email, but I basically made a pitch. At that point in time, I don't know if you guys know Money Africa, run by, I think someone called Olasayinde. There's this lady. Pardon me, I know her, but I'm forgetting her name right now. The moment they posted that they were doing a new product, I went to pitch my service as a copywriter, displaying my copywriting, and as a social media manager. I think I have one more to show you guys, and then I'll have to go and beg management. Let me see. Okay, this one is even more fun. Don't forget, the whole point I'm trying to show you here is get your skin in the game. The only way to do it is to do it. This one too, 2021. There's an agency called O2 Creative Agency. I don't know if it's O2 Creative Academy or Creative Agency, but they had an academy and an agency, right? And then I knew that I just saw a post on their Facebook or on their Instagram that they are opening a branch in Ibadan. They never post vacancy. I said, good morning. My name is Samuel Kokumo. I'm a Facebook certified creative strategist, seasoned copywriter, who's seasoned up, I don't know, and growth marketer in training. I was actually doing a course on great marketing here. I currently work as a brand manager at the fitness center here in Ibadan. I got news about O2 Academy's new presence in Ibadan, and being someone passionate about my digital skills training, I thought I should show my interest in joining your team in Ibadan. I was wondering if there was an opening that I would be a good fit for. Please find attached a copy of my CV for your perusal. Oyinbo what? Opo. Let me tell you something. The reason why I showed you guys those specific ones was of all those things I showed you, I didn't get a response for any of those ones. Of course, I felt stupid. Of course, I felt rejected. Of course, I felt like I was wasting my time. But did you just hear that scream? Even my baby is yelling for me to finish now. But by the grace of God, I do not need any job like that now. So obviously something worked, right? And I'm telling you what worked is take ownership. Get your skin in the game. Treat people's business like it's your business. Make yourself helpable. And lots more. If you want to remember, go back to what we've been discussing about for the last 90 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the end of today's, I wanted to say program, session of the Samuel Kukumo Live Experience. I am your boy, your guy, your guy's guy, and I will be coming back to your screens next week, Friday, same time. But this time, it is not going to be the regular formats like today's format. The format for next week is going to be a Q&A session where you get to ask me those burning questions that are currently on your mind. I implore you to right now, don't next week, grab a pen and paper, right? Write those questions down right now. Write those questions down right now so that next week when we're doing the Q&A, you'll be able to ask me. I also want to ask you for something before you go. Hit the subscribe button. I found out that I don't ask enough. Subscribe, share this video, and anytime you see my stuff on social media, I'm trying to get more people to view this stuff. Please share it with your friend, your best friend, your haters, and your mom's enemies, if your mom has enemies. Share it with everybody because everybody deserves a dose of some wisdom every week. Anyway, so next week, if you're on our WhatsApp community, you get the link to the Google Meet. We usually do the Q&A on Google Meet. You'll be able to ask me questions, bring your questions. Try to keep it to what we're discussing right now. But if you do have anything along the lines of, decisions and whatnot, what are the things I talk about? I always find some of decisions, personal growth, and development. Bring them as well. I'm on the fence on what we're going to do next, but I have an idea what it's going to be. And on the Q&A session, I'm going to put it to a vote. When you guys vote, I might decide to go with what you vote for, and that will be what we discuss next on the Samuel Kukumo Live Experience. I already sort of gave you guys a preview of what may come next with me talking to some of my own clients, some of the people that are, pay me for the services I render for them so that I can give you good context on the kind of people that you should be trying to attract and work with. Thank you very much for tuning in today. God bless you. Take care.